turned 9 o'clock. Perfect. Okay, what is up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, I am Delaney, and I'm going to talk to you guys all about overcoming objections, rebuttals, all that good stuff. And this is something that, comes with time, you guys. You can't expect to be an expert out the gate, but I can tell you the more objections that you get, the better you will become. It's like practice. It's like becoming great at anything that you do takes going through it, right? You have to fail. I can tell you right now, I have had some of the most horrendous responses before to people. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? Right. It's something you kind of just have to grow through. And so keep that in mind when we're going through it. Objections are part of this business. Like, if you're not getting objections every single day, you're probably not talking to enough people. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead. I used Microsoft Word. Okay, don't judge. I did not put this on a pretty Canva, but I just kind of typed out some of the things I wanted to go over with y'all. And can you guys see Microsoft Word? It says objection handling. Christina Nettles, I'm looking at you. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, before I came into this industry, my whole background is sales. So I was a recruiter. I did medical sales. Sales has just always been a part of my life. And objection handling is like the biggest thing that they train you on, because it's the thing that people hate the most. And it's a thing that you can get really hung up on or overthink it. And I just want you guys to know, when in doubt, when it comes to any sort of objection, the best thing you can do is ask questions. Whatever they say, if you come back and you ask a question, you are going to gather information and you're going to get to know what is really behind that no. Like, why are you saying no? Okay, why is this too expensive? What about network marketing are you so against? These are questions that you're going to be able to disarm them. You're going to be able to get information and pretty much sell against it, right? And so for me, like, for example, if I'm talking to somebody who's with another network marketing company, I want to know what it is that is lacking. Like, what are they missing? What aren't they getting there? Why aren't they happy? And then whatever they come back with, right? That is what I'm going to use to my advantage to sell against. I am going to definitely explain how, here at Lavelle, let's say, okay, for example, I'm talking to somebody and they say, well, we only get paid once a month. Okay. And that's really tough, or that's a struggle. I really wish we could get paid more often. Boom, I'm going to definitely make sure to touch on the fact that we get paid weekly. That one of our checks each month is a bonus check that usually is, larger than the other ones too. And I'm going to make sure whatever they are, like, whatever's missing for them, I'm going to find a way to kind of draw a line and connect the dots to how this opportunity is going to serve them. So tonight, whatever we're going to go over, keep in mind, this can be used literally for all customer objections and all promoter objections. I am very much promoter focused with my business, but everything that I have on here, you can absolutely use against, somebody giving you a hard time about the cost of the 3 steps or whatever it may be. So, okay. I put, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. So this is so important, you guys. One of the biggest things about overcoming objections is being confident on what you have your hands on. I don't beg for people. With my last company, if somebody even gave me, if I got a sniff that they might have been interested, okay, I was on them like nonstop. I was like suffocating them. I was like begging, like, you got to do this. I'll do whatever. I'll pay for your freaking pack. Okay. I got really desperate. And that is not a good look. Okay. Nobody wants to join somebody that's like that, because you're showing them that that's how they have to be. And nobody wants to be like that. So, the biggest thing with objections is knowing that you have to have an abundant mindset. You have to know that if you're so hung up on all the no's, it's because you're not talking to enough people. If so and so is really just bothering you because you know they'd be so great at this and they just keep giving you all these reasons why they won't join you. If that is like on the forefront of your mind, you're not talking to enough people. Okay. This is an opportunity where I never used to feel this way. And it's because of something we'll talk about in a minute, but my belief in this, not only this industry, but this company and these products is so bulletproof that I literally almost like laugh when somebody says no or passes on this. I'm literally like, okay, your loss. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't, but whatever. Right. So that is kind of my mentality. And you have to have that when you are in sales. You can't sell something that you don't fully believe in. You can't sell something that you don't back up, that you don't, like you literally don't believe in. So the biggest thing is do not get hung up on the no's. You're going to get a shitload of them. I have so many no's. I get ghosted all the time. You can't let it phase you. You just have to know that everybody goes through it. And the people that end up, on top are the people that just keep pushing through. You got to have some thick skin in this industry. You also have to know that you're not working out of desperation, you guys. There's so many freaking people out there. Like, you can't beg people. If somebody, I'll be honest with you, I don't even really do the whole objection handling until it's somebody who I've had multiple conversations with them as far as like they're interested. They have reached out or we've had some sort of communication that shows me that they are definitely interested, but there's still something holding them back. Then I really, take some time to make sure to address those, your hesitations. But if it's just somebody who's like, hey, can you tell me some info? I give them some info and they're like, yeah, no, it's not really for me. I'll maybe like reply like I normally would or say something, but I'm usually like, okay, that's not the type of person that I want anyways. I don't want to have to convince somebody, because if I have to convince them to see why this opportunity is so great, imagine what it's going to be like to train them or work with them, right? They're going to be that person who, if they don't have a sale their first 48 hours, it's your fault. So you have to also know, like, I don't care if you guys have a team of 2 people, you want to be selective. You need to know who you want to work with, what the vibe of your team, your culture. So, there are people, it sounds crazy, but I've gotten to the point where before I used to look at everyone as like, oh, that's volume. Like, I don't care if this girl's like, cuckoo. I'll just, that's extra volume, right? Well, now I'm like, no, if I get a sniff of crazy, I run in the complete opposite direction, right? And so you'll get there, but I want you guys to try to adapt this mindset now. Like, even when you're early in your business, you will waste so much time trying to work with the wrong type of people that you could be spending so much more time finding the ones who are going to be your people and who are going to work best with you and your girls. So as far as types of objections, right? So there's 3 categories that all objections can fall under. And the first one would be lack of info and lack of value. And so what I mean by this is, have you ever had somebody tell you that that it's too expensive? I mean, we've all gotten that one. That's probably the biggest one. How is somebody drawing on my screen right now? Weird. Okay. That's so weird. Do you guys see a blue streak here? Okay. Oh no. Anyways, okay. So lack of info and value. So we've all had, probably the biggest objection is the money objection, right? And I'm here to tell you, you guys, I don't really get this one anymore. I sell more 800 packs than I know what to do with at times. And I used to never even present the 800 pack because this third one right here, my belief was that it was way too expensive. Who in their right mind would spend $800? Because I was so broke. like $800 to me was just outlandish. I was like, nobody's going to freaking pay for that, right? But I didn't know at the time. Nobody told me when I first enrolled that you get paid out, as a 200K your first 4 months. Nobody told me that that would put me pretty much at a quarter of the way to 4K, that it came with 20 sample packs that I can flip for $25 and make 500 back and have 20 potential customers, right? Nobody told me I'd have almost 6 months worth of product that I could also flip into more profit by sending out samples. I did not know that. And so that goes back to lack of info and value. People aren't saying no because they don't have the money. They don't feel that what you've presented to them is worth the money. Okay. It's a very small tweak. They're not saying no, that 150 for the 3 steps. They're saying it's too expensive, but that's because they don't feel that it's worth the 150, right? And this is a good example when it comes to customer stuff. Like, you guys need to know your products. And again, if you're new, it'll come with time. But if I can tell you one thing, like, get a head start on researching the products, reading, just even go in and create an account like you're going to order, or create an order like you're going to order it, and just look at the paragraphs and study the products, what they do. You guys will see such a rise in converting to sales from the money objection if you guys know how to talk about it. And trust me, when I first started, I was like, yeah, it's just vitamin shakes in a patch or a sticker, right? And so when you say that to somebody, yeah, you're going to get vitamin shakes and a sticker for 150, they're like, oh, like it just like kind of doesn't sound as appealing as if you were like, oh, remember when you told me that you're really looking to boost your metabolism? So I'm going to get you on the Duo Burns. They have a forceline in it, which is a natural ingredient that boosts your metabolism. They also are going to put your body into a thermogenic state, which means your metabolism is burning, blah, 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 right? So I just like totally nailed what they're looking for, what their goal is to our product. And I gave them the value behind it. And if, like I said, if you're getting a lot of money objections, probably because of the way you're presenting. If I were to, somebody said, hey, how much does it cost to get started with you as a promoter? And I said, okay, well, you could choose $200 to spend $200, $400, or $800. Who in their right mind is not going to go with the 200, right? But if I break down the value and I explain why the most successful people, that is like the line I would say to write down, the most successful people go with blank. The most successful people go with the 800 pack, right? The most successful people go with the 400 pack. And this is why. The 200 pack, you're only getting a 1 month. You don't have any samples. So, samples are a huge way to get your business off the ground. If I'm not explaining to somebody that we get our products for free every month after their initial investment, they're thinking they're going to have to drop this kind of money every month. Well, that is a lack of explanation on my part. And so how do I find out that that was what it was? I ask them questions. So they come back and they say, it's just too expensive for me, right? So what I would say back to that, and there's multiple different, approaches to this, but I would say something like, okay, I totally understand. What is it about the price that makes you think you can't afford it, right? And then they come back and they say, well, that's just not something I can work into my budget every month. I can't afford, I can afford it now, but I'm not going to be able to keep up with it every month at 150, right? If we're talking about the customer packs. That is where clearly, oh, I forgot to tell them that we have the referral program. I forgot to tell them that we get credits. And so then I am going to use that information that they told me, and I'm going to sell back to them. And you guys will be so surprised how much different your conversations will go. You're going to get to the point where you are disarming objections before you even get them. Like I already know in my head, like just by talking to somebody and getting to know a little bit about what they're looking for, what their personality is like, where they're at with things, what their hang up is. And I'm going to make sure to address that when I'm presenting the pack options. The cool thing is on this team, you guys have everything on a silver platter. You know, most of us are using Catch the Fire. If you're on my team, we have our We Level Up page. And then now we're all using Results on Fire for customers. You literally have a hub of just all the info that breaks down the value. It's just making sure you're getting people in there. But you know, you're going to still have objections. I still follow up with people that I plug into those pages, and they still, you know, will come at me with some sort of objection. And that's when you just ask them questions. Like, I totally understand where you're coming from, but like, can you explain to me why you think that? Or, okay, so moving on to the next one, history. So history would be, oh, well, I've tried network marketing before. I was with blank company and didn't get any help or didn't see any success. Or, oh, my cousin, you know, she was with Lavelle a couple years ago and she didn't really make any money, right? And so my response to that would be, well, did your cousin enroll with a leader who was very hands-on with what they do? Did your cousin enroll on a team that had systems in place for them so that they could just plug people in? And you're asking these questions that are, while you're doing it, you're gathering info, but you're also disarming them. And then when they come back and say, well, no, she enrolled with her upline, actually quit and she didn't really have any training, Well, that's where I'm going to explain to them how great our training, our onboarding is. Hey, we've got this page, you guys. Every time I plug somebody into the Catch the Fire page or the Results on Fire, I make sure to let them know, hey, while you're checking this out, keep in mind, if you decide to join, I don't even say if, I use the word when, okay? I'm like, when you decide to join, you're going to be able to plug your people into this too, right off the bat. So you're not going to have to worry about having these tough conversations before you're trained, right? And so immediately they're like, oh, that's really cool. So while they're watching all the information, they're already knowing, oh, I'm going to be able to put so-and-so in here and show them this. This is so great. And so that's another way you can disarm somebody who tries to tell you, yeah, you know, what's different about this? I've failed at every company I've ever been with, you know. Well, why did you fail? How would you define failure? Like, what did that look like to you? Right. And so they come back and they say, well, you know, I gave it 60 days and I only had 4 customers, blah, 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 blah. And I right away, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's the problem. 60 days, like, no, you have to be able to give it more time. But again, that is just me gathering information to be able to combat it back to them. And then when it comes to your belief, so this is huge, you guys. I think this is the most important one because I think it kind of combats, especially number one, the lack of info and value. You have to believe that what you have your hands on is the best in the freaking industry. You have to believe that we have the best comp plan out there. I just did this for shits and giggles the other day. I started Googling like top network marketing comp plans. Because something that I like to do, and this probably sounds extra and crazy, but I'm telling you, this is what works for me. I love to research other companies, how they work, what their comp plans look like. So when I talk to somebody from any of those companies, I already know, like for me, I'm like, oh, that would suck if my customers got hit with a $50 fee for canceling, you know, their auto ship, or, you know, that would suck if I lost my rank because people weren't placed in certain positions by Thursday every week. Like, I already am trying to know all this so that I can use that as ammo when I'm talking to somebody, maybe from that company. But I know there's not a doubt. I will go toe to toe with anybody out there that we have the best comp plan and the best products in the industry. And I 1000% believe that we have the best team out there, like without a doubt. And so if you don't believe that, it's time to do some freaking mindset work. You got to listen to some podcasts. You got to do some research. A lot of stuff that I've learned has been self-taught, YouTube, Google. But I'm just telling you that You have to know, people can smell bullshit from a mile away. Okay. If somebody's asking you a question about the products and you're just telling them an answer because your upline told you what to say, or it was copy and pasted into the training and you're just copy and pasting it, people can smell that, you guys. You know what's sexy? Confidence, certainty. They love that. When you can literally explain something or respond with conviction and confidence in what you're saying, it builds trust. Okay. And the more that you're building trust, even on the smallest little things, that's when they start to really trust everything else you have to say and it becomes smooth. Okay. But if you're sitting there, like, there is such a difference in knowing, like, okay, so for example, the last company I was with, the shakes alone for a month's supply was like $150, right? And so when somebody would say, that's really expensive, I would be like, yeah, I agree, right? Like, I didn't believe that it was worth that money. So I hardly ever sold them, because when somebody gave me that objection, I didn't really argue, because I agreed. I was like, yeah, I can't really, how am I going to argue that? That's outrageous to me, right? Now, if I truly was obsessed with the shakes and, out of all the shakes out there, they were just way up here compared to everything else, hell yeah, I would sell that all day long, but they weren't. And so what we have our hands on, you guys, is absolutely the best stuff out there. And you have to really, really believe that when you're talking to people, or they won't buy from you. They won't join you, right? If you're sitting there, it's like, again, I can't, this is my experience, so I can just tell you guys, when I was with my last company, every time somebody asked me about joining my team, I couldn't convert one damn person to join my team. And it was because I felt like a fake, a fraud, when I was trying to talk about the opportunity, because as if I was selling this dream that I hadn't even lived, right? And so you guys, the more that you are confident in what you're saying, what you're talking about, what you have your hands on, I'm telling you, people want to be a part of that and they will trust you. And if you're not there yet, you got to work on your mindset, because this is literally the reason I didn't even, like, Amanda and I had an email where it was an info email when anybody wanted information on promoting, and we would have the pack options, and we would have the pack.
Get expensive.
Okay, we would have the two options were the 200 pack and the 400 pack. Like I said earlier, I didn't even, for the first 6-7 months of my business, I didn't even present the 800 pack. I just completely assumed that nobody would ever buy it. It wasn't until I really understood the value that I started selling to 800 packs left and right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I would have just done this from the start. But it was because I truly did not understand the value. I didn't look into it enough. And I just assumed, because I was broke as shit, everybody would be broke as shit, right? And so those are the 3 areas and categories that literally any objection can fall into. But like I said, asking questions, you guys, is like the number one thing. Anytime somebody gives you any sort of, money objection or pyramid scheme, like, okay, tell me why you think this is a pyramid scheme. What makes you say this is a pyramid scheme? And then they give you their reasoning, and instantly you're like, yeah, that's false, right? And you're able to sell against it. Okay, so the feel, felt, found method. This is something, again, if you've ever been in sales, this has been around for years, but it does work. It wouldn't still be around if it didn't. And I can tell you, I've used it, I don't even know how many years since college, but every sales job, I do it here too. And I think it's the most effective way to combat any sort of objection, because people want to feel understood. Okay. They don't want you. It's like when somebody, you ask, are you ready to do this? And they tell you like why they aren't ready. And you just come back with, okay, but are you sure? Or, okay, are you sure you don't want to just get started? What if I can give you a sale? And it's like, you completely didn't even listen to what they had to say or where they're coming from, and you've already lost them, right? So you have to make sure whatever somebody says to you, even if you think it's the most ridiculous, stupid thing ever, you need to make them feel understood and acknowledge what they had to say. And so let's say I have an example here, like if somebody comes to you and they say, you know, they feel like the industry is not for them and they've had bad experiences with family that's been in network marketing, blah, blah, blah. So you could say something like, hey, thanks so much for being upfront with me about how you feel about network marketing. I totally get how you feel because I actually felt the same way. And you can elaborate on that if you want. Like, you know, before, I never thought I would ever join this industry. I had heard horrible things too. But what I found, you know, when I joined Lavelle is that it actually has become the best way for me to take steps towards financial freedom, or it actually has turned out to be completely different than every other company out there I've been with. And so you're letting them know that you acknowledge, but you're also telling them how you relate. This is kind of how my brain is just naturally wired at this point. When somebody comes back with any objection or excuse, I'm already in my head thinking, how can I relate to that? And I always find something to be able to relate to. So if it's the money objection, I'm going to say, girl, I totally understand. I started with 24 cents in my bank account. My boyfriend at the time had to buy my pack. I totally get how you feel. I completely felt the same way. But what I found was, you know, if I could at least get started with the 200 pack, I haven't had to spend any more money out of pocket each month because my company actually gives me credits just for doing my job. And that has been, you know, so worth it. Or what I found was my goals were worth way more than the initial, you know, package option or the package cost to get started. So again, you're letting them know that you understand them. Okay. You've been there. You're being human, and people trust that, and it totally flips the whole mindset around it. It's like sales is like so psychological, you guys. And I think it was somebody said it on one of the trainings the other day, but they were like, I think it was, I was rewatching Jackie and Alexis's training on customers, and one of them said, like, it's literally how you say something, and it could be the same thing, but it's all about the way you're presenting something and saying something. And if you tweak even just the smallest bit on how you're presenting something or the confidence behind it and the conviction, it makes a world of difference, you guys. It really does. And then another thing that I put is don't be afraid to take the sale away from someone. And this is something I get when I have girls on my team, or I do, where I just get screwed around, right? You ever have that same person every time you put up a sale to join, they message you and they drop the emoji and you reach out to them and they ask you more questions that you've already covered with them 10 times. And they say they really want to do this, right? And then at some point, you guys, you have to kind of close the door for them. This actually makes people want to join you more. It can be very effective, but I just take it away from them. I will literally say like, hey, listen, I know you're really interested in doing this, but there's still a part of you that clearly, you know, is unable to commit. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, I'm not going to reach out anymore. Please let me know when you are 100% ready to do this. That's it. Because I now have told them I'm taking control of the situation, and I'm letting them know that you can't keep doing what you're doing, right? Now everybody has different personalities. I will tell you, I am definitely more of the blunt type, especially I view time, and everybody on this call should feel this way, because if you are really trying to make this a business, your time is your money. And I cannot spend time answering the same damn questions or running in circles with somebody. Because at the end of the day, there's so many people out there who are gung-ho, ready to go, self-starters. I am trying to weed through and find those people. And every time I get hung up on this one person who keeps spinning me around, right, I'm wasting time finding more people who are like, let's go. And so Yeah, I mean, another good line to say is, I need you, like, hey, Aubrey, we've talked about this a lot. I know you're really interested, but I need you to just commit. And when you do commit, I will not let you down. And I kind of leave it at that. And I'm telling you, you guys, people want not what they can't have, but they're more drawn to the opportunity because you have just shown them that you're confident and you don't need them necessarily. Like, you have an abundant mindset. You're not desperate. You're not sitting there answering every single question over and over and over, because in their mind, they're like, wow, this girl really, like, she's really still wants to help me, even though I've, kind of messed with her so much, or I've, kind of strung her along for this long. You need to take a stance and put the foot down for your business and be like, I mean, this is just unacceptable. That's where that's where I've gotten with this. And I know that's hard because I wasn't always like that, but you guys will see with time that is just something that there's nothing you can say to that person to get them to join you. What's the whole saying? You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, or you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. If somebody is really wanting this, they're going to join you. And that's why too, like, when it comes to objections, you guys, I don't sit there and keep trying to combat over and over and over. You kind of got to feel it out and know, like, is this worth my time, or am I spinning my wheels on this person? Because at the end of the day, if they are really serious and considering it, they're going to keep watching, and something that you post or do is going to get them to pull the trigger. And so you have to just keep chasing new blood, right? Like, keep starting new conversations with new people. Yeah. Are there any questions so far? I don't know if I saw, I didn't have the chat up. Let me stop sharing my screen. Does anybody have a specific objection that they want to, like, talk through? I'm so hot right now. Time is money. Yep. Okay. Nobody has any questions? Nothing? I mean, more examples. I wrote down a bunch of examples, but, like, if somebody comes back about the products and they're like, well, I don't really believe that this is how you can become healthy. Like, I believe you have to have exercise, or, I don't really believe that this is like a magic pill. Right. And I'm like, okay, so I would say, what about this makes you think that this is some magic pill? And then they come back and they say, well, I mean, you're just saying that you can, like, get in shape and healthy by just doing these 3 steps, right? Like, And I'm like, no, absolutely not. like this is a supplement to a healthy lifestyle, right? The more you are eating right and exercise, moving your body, even a little bit each day, you're gonna see rapid results. Like, this helps you get quicker results, but it is by no means a magic pill. I've had multiple people join me who literally said that to me. This one girl, I can think of her. I don't know if she's on here, but she was so dead against this because it's been against everything she's ever believed in when it comes to nutrition and kind of like get fit quick type of scheme, right? But after I broke it down to her and I was like, no, like, keep doing your workouts, keep eating clean, just add this in. This isn't like to replace all that. It was like a light bulb went off and she went all in with this. So, like, what did she say? When someone says that when someone says that I try and help them identify who all they are talking to and how they, usually it has to do with the amount of content.
I'm just gonna break that down. Yanil was saying, when someone says, like, I was responding to her thing way up. Hold on, crap, now I can't find it. Oh, nobody will buy from me. I was saying what I normally do is look and go, okay, let's look at what you're doing. Are you posting 3 times a day? Are you doing opportunity live event? Are you generating a lot of conversations? Or are you only talking to a couple of people that are saying no? Because it's usually, you're not talking to enough people. Dell said that earlier. So I help them without being like rude, like, well, you're not barely doing anything. I look for where they can up their game with. Maybe they're not posting enough. Maybe they're not putting up the stories. Maybe they're not doing, I mean, chances are they're not, or they would be talking to more people and you would have one turn into a yes. That's my 2 cents.
No, I'm glad you said that too, because everything I just went over, you guys, that is as long as you are doing everything you should be doing on the back end. Otherwise, none of these objections really matter, because at the end of the day, you can't sit there and not be posting on your story, post twice a week on your page. You've had 200 followers for the last 6 months and they haven't grown. You don't do reels, and then somebody tells you no or gives you an objection and you're like, what's going on? Why aren't they doing this? Or blah, 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 help me. That is like basic level stuff. You have to be doing your job. This is kind of just to help you once you are doing all those things, right? And you're still having the same type of objection over and over. Be self-aware, you guys. You should be able to know, like, are you having the same type of objection over and over? It's probably something that you're doing, and it takes just a little tweak in how you're presenting or how you're saying things. Another thing I always suggest is try not, when somebody says, I used to do this, is why I'm saying it. When somebody would come back to me and they would say, no, I'm going to hold off for right now, I would just hit them with, well, did you see that we have an auto bonus at the second rank? That's so obtainable to get. And I would try to just sell all these things that were important to me, but that's not what they're interested in. You don't know that unless you ask questions, right? You have to ask questions and find out what's important to people, what's lacking for them, what are they missing. Another thing I always like to say when somebody's kind of being hesitant to join, scale of 1 to 10, where are you at with this? And if they come back and say, I'm at a 7, great. What do we need to do to make it a 10? Or what's missing to make it a 10? And they come back and they say, well, my husband's really hesitant because well, I did this company before and it made no money, blah, 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 right? Boom, you have some ammo now, you have some information to sell against. Whatever they come back with, that is our job to present and object that, like, tell them how this is different or why this is different. The biggest thing that I can say is anytime you can give a real life example, something you experienced or somebody on your team. For example, Mel on my team, she's one of my top leaders now, but Mel sent me a message. We were both on the same Beachbody team kind of, and kind of knew of each other. I got a message from her on my main screen on my phone. And when I went back 5 minutes later to go find it, it was gone. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, did you message me and delete it? And she was like, yeah, I did. And she sent it to me. And it was this long paragraph about how she had never had success before. She, felt like a failure. What would make this any different, right? And so now every single time I hear that same objection, I explain that. I will say one of my top leaders, Mel, right? And I'm giving names and I'm explaining it. So it's real life. It's more human. And I'm like, one of my top leaders, Mel, said the same thing to me. She even unsent her message. She was with X company for 2 years, saw no traction. She had every reason not to give this a shot, but I said, give it 30 days. Work with me for 30 days. And then at the end of the 30 days, you can decide if this is not for you. Great. There's no, that's what I always tell people. There's no risk to this, you guys. You're either a customer or a customer that makes money. Like, you literally, if you decide you don't want to promote, you just stop promoting. Like, it's really risk-free. And when people, if you guys, the more you can educate yourself on what sets this company apart from all the others, the more that you're going to be able to sell and sign people, because the more you can highlight on the fact that you don't have to pay out of pocket. There's no monthly fees. Another objection I get all the time is, well, I don't want to be salesy, right? And I can say, I completely understand that. I felt the same way. Never wanted to be that person who was annoying people or spamming people, right? What I found was with Lavelle, we actually use attraction marketing where people are coming to me asking me about the product, which is so much better than me having to go after them. right? Like so much less spammy. And that immediately they're like, oh, what's attraction marketing? And then I explain how different that is than cold messaging. And I give them examples. I used to send 60 cold messages a day. It was horrible. So I totally get why you're hesitating. So it's very much just like be a human. Another piece of advice is voice message. I can't tell you how much more you will be able to connect and people can hear how genuine you are with your voice, and the way you can like tell stories, everything through voice message. You can also you would send like a long ass paragraph that you could fit into a 60-second voice text and it just looks better.
Can I say a couple of things?
Yeah.
First of all, Cheyenne, I have access to Pacer Monitor from my attorney, and Lavelle does not have any lawsuits. So whoever's telling you that is full of shit. We actually have never been sued one time, which is very impressive because a lot of companies have been sued. It's very common. Our company has never been sued. We have won multiple lawsuits, so they're uneducated, and I would just like dismiss somebody like that. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit like, I am very different than I was 2 years ago and what I will entertain. Okay, you have to know an objection versus bullshit. Okay, if somebody is going, oh, you're with Thrive, and they start saying a bunch of negative stuff, I'm not entertaining that. That's not an objection, that's negative. If someone says, oh man, I'd really like to do this, but money's tight, or I'm scared, or they are somebody that's showing up and showing you like, hey, I want to work with you, but I have these fears or these things. But if somebody, and the reason I'm saying this, I'm going to give you another example. A girl yesterday, she was going to join, and I'm not afraid to close the door. And I used to be very afraid to close the door. I would like hold the door open and be like, no, do not close the door, please. Like, what else can I do to get you to join? Now I know my worth, and I know that what we have here is golden. And so if someone doesn't want to join, like, and there's a sale going on, I will flat out be like, hey, that sale's not going to be here next time. And I was talking to this girl in the capacity of, hey, like, I'm so excited. I am looking for a leader. It's harder for me personally to sign someone brand new to the industry. I'm not saying I won't, but for me, it's more difficult. I'm very busy. And so I try to connect with people that have some background knowledge. And so I was talking to a girl, and that's what she brought to me. Oh my God, I've been in network marketing. I've been with this company. I've done X, Y, and Z. And so then she's like, hey, I'm going to hold off and see when those vegan shakes come out. And I straight up to her was like, that's amazing if that's what you want to do, but I'm going to let you know I will not be able to work with you in the same capacity that I'm offering to work in with you right now, because that's the truth. And so whenever you create that sense of urgency, do it not out of manipulation, but out of truth, because that is the truth. Another thing is, Iris was saying, whenever somebody doubts your results or something like that, to me, the situation you described, I'm a very blunt person, that's rude. And I would never let somebody talk to me like that, and I would ignore them, especially someone that has a front row seat to my life and sees that I'm not, that what I am doing, that I am supplementing. They know if I'm like at the gym 10 hours a day or not. To me, like if I had a cousin or somebody that talked to me like that, I would leave a hoe on red. Like I would not entertain that. To me, I respect myself so much and I know what I'm doing. I always compare it to, there is objections, and then there are people that speak a different language than me. And I have to be smart enough to know what I'm dealing with to not waste time. So let's say someone's like, oh, Thrive. Yeah. And like, you can tell that they're like, cool, I guess it works for some people, but I've heard da, 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 da. I'm probably not entertaining that. If it was someone that said, oh, Thrive, it's wearable nutrition, I don't know. I don't know about that. That's different. Skepticism, they're not sure, fearful. Those are all obstacles. Those are all objections that you can help someone overcome. But there will be times that people are doubting you, or they are they're not interested. they are trying to tear you down. I had a girl do it to another girl the other day. Oh, really? What made you choose that company? And you could tell she was a top leader elsewhere. And it was brought to me as, what would you say to this prospect? And I said, she's not a prospect. She's
Yeah.
$1 million leader elsewhere, and she's being a bitch right now. I'm like, not trying to be rude, but so the reason I'm saying that is because so many times we want to turn everybody into a prospect that has an objection. Somebody will tell you when they're a prospect by telling you what their objection is. They will tell you one of the things that Dell just listed, and you will know what to say back. If somebody comes at you with something that dumbfounds you, it's probably not an objection. It's probably negativity. Think like you're going to know what to work with. Go with your gut, go with the things that Dell just taught you. And it's very important because, like Dell said, she used to hang on to people all of the time. Success loves speed. The way I envision my people, my potentials, and any objections I'm dealing with is the same way I would look at my kid and be like, the ice cream man's here. If you stop throwing a fit, we're going to make it outside to get an ice cream cone. And then looking at them and being, I can work with that. If they're just going to, I'm like, you're going to miss your turn. And I'm still going. I'm still going to go get ice cream. And so success loves speed. Be confident, be convicted, that you know why you're here. Don't be afraid if you don't have the answer. If someone came to me and said, well, what about the gelatin in blah, blah, blah? I would say, you know what? That's a great question. I'm not sure. And I'd go ask somebody that knows. I have so much, they're unhappy with themselves. I would say, like, well, what are the 2 top things you would like to change? Energy. I make them identify their needs always. Yeah, like negativity like that, Angela, literally, like I don't let any negativity even come out of my fingertips onto the screen, because that spreads more negativity. I don't screenshot it. I don't do anything. I literally work with things that I can give answers to. And if I can't give an answer to it, it's negative. But if you can give an answer to it or go find an answer, then it's an objection, and work through it. Don't be afraid to not know the answer. I'll be quiet now.
No, you're good. I'm done. I was just, but like what you just said, like it is not our job to defend idiotic remarks. Like it's not. Like you could spend all day trying to respond to some skeptic that is, and there's a difference between a skeptic and somebody who is just harping on, oh, well, I read this. I'm literally like, I pulled this up. This girl today was like, she's been messaging me weeks now about joining. She's had all these questions, and now she said, can we get on the phone today? And my first thing, I never do that right off the bat because I don't have time to do that. And I could just tell that this is going to be somebody who I just was not getting the vibe. She's very like anal and nitpicks things, and she's very negative. And she goes, I was reading reviews and they're saying the patches don't work. Blah, 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 blah. And I started explaining it. And then I was like, all I said was I wouldn't have built a business half the size I did if the products didn't work. That's something I always say too. But she came back with, I suppose. And at that point, I almost ripped her a new one and said, you're just like, this is not going to work, right? But I was like, if you want to try before you buy, there's a link in my bio. And she went and filled out a sample pack thing. But I don't waste time anymore on people like that. Because again, it's not my job to defend why Google reviews say this or that. There's a million reasons why. Okay, when somebody says, well, my friend tried this before and didn't have any results. Okay, what did they try? Which patch were they using? There's a million reasons why. Maybe somebody, whoever they like helped them out, didn't really listen to what their goals and needs were and got them set up on the wrong thing, right? There's so many reasons for that objection to you guys, but you have to protect your time, because I could sit there, I could have gone back and forth with that woman explaining and explaining against every single review she read online, and the old me probably would have, just out of like pure like you're an idiot and I need to make you feel like an idiot, right? And now I'm like, the time that I would have taken 20 minutes to go back and forth with her, I could have just connected with 10 new people online or engaged with 10 new prospects and turned one of those people into a promoter. So that's, yeah, there's not much more I got. I mean, you're always going to have objections, guys, but you're going to get better the more you handle. And you're going to take note. People will tell you what they're feeling and then take note, like, hey, if I hear the same thing over and over, be self-aware to think like, okay, maybe I need to work on how I'm presenting, or what did I send them, right? Like, but yeah, that's all I got. How do you do the link on your bio? I think we have a training on that coming up. But when it comes to links in the bio, any of that kind of stuff, you guys, honestly, and this is just like tough love, go look at somebody's link and recreate it as your own. Any of those link things, you can literally Google how to set up a job form and they will walk you through step by step. Anything else?
Thank you, Del. That was awesome. Love you guys. Know that you like are with something worth so much, and have that confidence whenever you talk to anybody about this. Like Del said, it's not our job to convince, it's our job to educate. It literally is our job to educate somebody. Even an objection is just educating them in the right direction. They get to decide if they want this, they get to make that decision, and we're here to serve them. But don't let anybody slow you down. It doesn't mean you don't care about them. It means maybe they're not ready. Maybe they do just need to watch a little bit longer. Don't slow down your speed trying to convince anyone to do anything. You will work out of a nasty lack mindset that will leave you feeling icky on the inside, and you don't want to do that to yourself. Feel bold and confident that our team, just our team, is we've done over $31 million in sales. That is insane, guys. Success is here. Like, it's obvious. I always say the proof is in the numbers. So even if you haven't done $31 million in sales, you're part of an organization that is not even 5 years old. Be confident whenever you talk to somebody. Okay. Thank you, Del. That is so good. I love you, man.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.